Thanks for staying with us. There is no end in sight to the Russia-Ukraine war. 3 civilians have been killed and 30 others wounded in Ukraine's eastern city. Russia forces have bombed multiple locations overnight. According to local authorities, about 4 million Ukrainians have fled the country, while cities have been shattered and thousands have died. The country is also in desperate need of aid and is asking G7 nations for financial support. Let's get the latest from Ukrainian Ambassador to South Africa Liubov Abravitova. Thank you so much for your time, Ambassador. We do appreciate it. Before we get into the state of Ukraine and how desperate the situation is, I want us to get into the issue around your engagement with South African government officials and the President. There's been lots of talk about how our President, President Cyril Ramaphosa, and your President has not had a conversation as yet, and that seems to have brought about some tension and dissatisfaction. Maybe just take us into your confidence and tell us why this has not happened yet.
Well, good day, and first of all, I apologize for my voice today, but nothing can stop us of telling the truth, even this voice. Thank you for having me here again. Yes, we are trying to engage on all possible levels now with the South African government. You've seen that this week I had a meeting with the DG Dengor of DIRCO, and during the meeting we discussed the issue of engagements of the embassy with different ministers within the government of South Africa. As I told you, the talks between the presidents were requested and are under preparation. As soon as both our presidents ready to talk, they will talk. So we're trying to secure the date for this. This is the latest update.
Okay, so I'm correct in saying that you have, as the ambassador, you have engaged with government officials from DIRCO, and you have had a conversation with them. It's just now a matter of getting our president as well as your president to have a discussion on any kind of assistance, especially with many South Africans still stuck in Ukraine and just the ongoing conflict between the two. So you're hoping for this conversation to happen?
I'm working on that. I'm not hoping. Yes, definitely.
Okay, great. I just want to get more clarity from you with regards to whose responsibility it actually is for this conversation to happen between our presidents and your presidents, because many would say that if I'm not mistaken, it was in early March where President Cyril Ramaphosa engaged with the Russian president, and there was only a request put in for our president to engage with your president much later in March. And many are asking why that actually happened. Is it just a breakdown in communication, or was the request just not put in early enough?
No, I believe the request came when it came. So the DIRCO submitted the request as soon as the decision to speak to my president was taken by the presidency. Since that time, we submitted the request. And of course, this is the responsibility of both ambassadors on both sides to organize this discussion. It just always takes time. And especially in times of war, it's not something that you can organize immediately through the obvious circumstances.
Yes, certainly. Okay, let's move over, Ambassador, to the crisis and the war that's going on currently in Ukraine. We've seen the most devastating images of many cities that have been bombed and deserted now, and many Ukrainians having to flee Ukraine into neighboring countries. From your understanding, what is the situation like now?
So the situation is that Russian army is continuing to damage our infrastructure, damage our civilians, to shell off all our cities. Today and yesterday at night, we've seen again the bombing of Kiev and its outskirts. We've seen a couple of days ago the shelling of peaceful railway station in Kramatorsk, where about 4,000 people were waiting for the tram to get out of the areas that are not safe. And the number of people died and injured is around 1,000. So it's, of course, most intensive that you can see and read the Mariupol action. And Mariupol is not giving up. Obviously, it's around 100,000 people that are staying without food and water now there. And we don't know about the casualties and atrocities that are happening now. But after seeing Bucha, we can only imagine and anticipate the scope of what's going to be seen after the liberation of this city. But Ukrainians are resistant and keeping strong in that area. Unfortunately, we still have very serious fights there.
It's very devastating to think that it's 53 days on and there's been no real sign of peace or ceasefire. I want to get a sense from you, Ambassador, with regards to how many South Africans you are aware of that are trying to get out of Ukraine back into South Africa. Have you been able to engage with them? What is your contact like with those that are still stuck in Ukraine and wanting to get out because of this ongoing war?
Definitely, this is the question to Dirko and the Ambassador of South Africa in Ukraine. But because we are and we have been in touch with many business people from South Africa in Ukraine, with those who have mixed families with Ukrainians, so you already have social relations, so-called. Of course, we are aware about a number of South African citizens being there. It's interesting that not all of them are trying to get out of Ukraine. Some of them are in the safest regions and waiting for Ukrainian victory in order to get back to their places of location and to continue their businesses and work. I know a lot of South Africans took their animals, their dogs and cats, and just moved to the western part of Ukraine. Some of them are staying in Kherson, which is quite affected, but they cannot move out of there. I didn't have contact with them for a while. So about the students, I believe that most of the students left Ukraine already, and I'm receiving calls from them, calls from those people who were studying in Ukraine and now just having business there. Words of support are coming, questions what can be done, what kind of assistance can be provided. So yes, we are in touch with quite a number of South Africans there.
Okay, great. Ambassador, I want to ask you with regards to the desperate need of aid and asking G7 nations for financial support. I think the images that we are seeing coming out of Ukraine are quite explanatory, but maybe just go in a little bit more detail about the financial support that is needed given the devastation and the ongoing war that we are seeing in Ukraine.
There are different types of humanitarian assistance that is needed and can be provided, because financial support in times of war is not really efficient on this stage, because it will be needed when we will be again rebuild our cities. Today we need food supplies. Today we desperately need water. We need medications and different medical equipments, because the hospitals are shelled deliberately. We need mobile hospitals or ambulances. We need doctors on the places. We need, of course, we need military support. We're not asking to come and fight for us. We are asking to provide us with military equipment that we can fight back in order to liberate our cities and to protect our civilians.
Do you think more help and support should be given to Ukraine, especially from Southern Africa? Because many say all hands on deck, given the devastation that is being experienced currently in Ukraine. And as you mentioned, the healthcare, the food, water supply. Is there any more that you wish Southern Africa could possibly do in assisting those that are in desperate need in Ukraine?
It is difficult and very painful for me to speak about this because we just before this interview seen the scenes, the horrible scenes from KZN that you are experiencing now. And today we feel it even more harder, more strongly, because as we say, every life matters. To see more than 400 people died and how many of them left without their homes. It is difficult now to speak about what kind of support we would need from Southern Africa, from Southern African countries, when you are facing this devastation in your own country. But I believe that the support that is provided by some companies, some organizations, communities, it is going from South Africa, and I'm trying to be very vocal about it, that Ukrainians can see and feel that neutrality doesn't mean indifference.